So are you a subscription business and looking to streamline your sales to finance workflows? Well, if you're using Salesforce, you are in for a treat. Today, we are going to cover the opportunity to contract integration for subscription-based businesses. So we are going to talk through the flow from an opportunity in Salesforce through to a contract and invoicing within Intacct. Okay, so there are three elements to this that we're going to cover today. So we are firstly going to cover a new contract, so a new customer that you're working with that is looking to move forwards and buy your services off of you. The second area that we're going to cover is add-ons. How do we upsell? How do we cross-sell? How do we add things to that contract? And then the third area is how do we manage renewals? Because with Intacct, we're very much shifting from that typical invoice structure to moving to more of a holistic view of the customer as a whole contract, and using that contract as the basis for all of our transactions. So our invoices, our revenue recognition, and our conversations with that customer. So here at ITAS, we're really excited to take you through this. The Salesforce side, particularly with contracts, is one of our specialities. And as Intacct Partner of the Year, we're very excited to be able to bring this educational series to you. So if you haven't already explored things like the contracts modules and what's available, please do check it out on our website, www.itassolutions.co.uk. Very much worth exploring. We talk about everything from sort of standard contracts through to usage-based billing. If you have any questions at any point during this video, please do just add a comment on YouTube. Of course, you can reach out to us directly. We are massive believers in helping educate people about the power of Intacct and Salesforce together. So, happy just have a quick chat and give you an idea of how things are going to work. And of course, we have shared loads of videos both on YouTube and on our website on how all this is put together. Okay, so that's enough of introductions. Let's get started with an overview of how the integration works. So first thing I'm going to show you is a quick overview of the diagram. As you can see here, we are able to sync across various different elements between the two systems. So in order to use the opportunity to contract integration, you are of course going to need Salesforce, and more specifically, you're going to need the professional or enterprise versions. Now, there is actually a contract object within Salesforce that we are going to use. So we're going to use the standard workflows, but we have a managed package that adds lots of extra goodies for you to use with that contract. We also create our own objects. So we've got the Salesforce, the Sage Intacct contract that we push across. Obviously, the Sage Intacct invoices and payments as well. You'll be able to see a lot of information directly from within Salesforce. And of course, we're integrating, as all of the Sage Intacct integrations with Salesforce do, we're integrating accounts, products, price lists, contacts, etc. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump in the software and have a look at the exciting stuff. Okay, so part one, how do we process an opportunity, a brand new opportunity, through to a contract? So here we are in Salesforce. I'm looking at my opportunities. I'm on an opportunity in Salesforce right now. I've got my Salesforce account and I've got products on my Salesforce opportunity. So just going to drill down into this a little bit more. So as part of the integration, we open up a few extra fields. So things like whether it's a renewable item, whether it has start and end dates, whether we're using billing templates, what these billing templates are, whether we're using renewal or revenue recognition templates. And in fact, we probably should make sure those are populated on our opportunity. Of course, they would normally pull through from the product and the setup side of things. If we were renewing, we could set renewals. We have the option to set revenue recognition dates. Again, a lot of this can be automated if you wish, depending on how you want to do it. Okay, and then we're just going to save that. And voila. We've got all of the information that we need to process through our opportunity. Okay, so So our opportunity is closed won. So we've closed the opportunity and it's ready to be processed as a contract. So how do we do that? Very simply, we go into the opportunity and we go to create contract. Now in the background, what that's done is created the Salesforce object contract. And if we have a look at this contract, we can see it's pulled through all of the information from the opportunity. It's not been synced yet to Intacct because that's not how we've set this one up. But it's got all the information like what entity it's related to, any terms, and it's attached in the opportunity that we are going to use to create it. Okay, so once we're ready, maybe we want to do some checks or credit checks or direct debit checks and things like that. We will then activate the contract. So after activated, it is now available to be synced with Intacct. Now, this process of syncing to Intacct can be done as a manual piece. So I'm going to press the button now just so I can control the time that it syncs, or it can be triggered off of Salesforce workflows as well. So that is going in real time across to your finance system, and it's creating those objects within Intacct. It's been successful. So if we now pop into my Intacct org and we go to our contract section, and we saw in this case my contracts ID because it's the latest one, you will notice that I've got a new bronze support for company 123. Okay, so that has been directly pushed with all of the information it needs across from Salesforce. All right, so at this point, hopefully, we are now ready to process it. So finance would now do everything that they would need to do. So they would go through processing invoices, automatically posting revenue recognition journals, all of that good stuff. Okay, so let's show what happens when we do that process. So we generate an invoice. Okay, so if we go through and we generate an invoice, now I'm going to generate it for all invoices available, remembering there's loads of different filters that can be applied, and I can generate more than one. And this is the process that your finance team on a monthly basis would normally do. So they would normally generate the invoices across, and I've got my little my bronze support at the bottom there, and I want to generate that invoice. So now we have our invoice run. So if we just check that invoice run, you'll notice that it's generated invoice number 1061. So if we just have a quick look at that, that has all of the information that's required, all of the products that were created on that opportunity, that SLA bronze. And again, remembering that Intacct has the capability to manage not just sort of subscription-based billing, but usage-based billing and really complex contractual setups. So the reason this has come straight through is just because this is how I've set it up. I've set it up as a quarterly contract. So bear with me. Now what I'm going to do is pop back into that contract and refresh. So if I now look at that same contract and I scroll down, not only will you see obviously the sync status that's been synced across, no issues there. You can see the fact that I've billed a quarter of that 10,000 total, and you can see not only the contracts lines now, but you can actually see the invoices that are related to that contract. And if I pop into one of those, I'm actually going to show you the fact that your sales team can actually see the invoices that have been created through the finance system. And we're actually going to launch the Intacct screens from within Salesforce. So they have all of that visibility and information from within Salesforce within Intacct, without requiring a full Intacct license, because it comes as part of their connector. And you will see that they've got the things like the print and email buttons at the top here that allow them to then send that off. They can see the history of it. So if there's been any changes, obviously if you're using other functions, you might see things like dispatch notes, but you can see, for instance, the email history. So again, they have full visibility of all the information that they as salespeople need. They may want to see when it's been paid, if their commission is, whether it's paid basis. So saving all of that backing and forthing with, within emails between finance and sales. Now, say for instance, a customer, your salesperson spoken to the customer and they've said they've paid it, and the account manager wants to let finance know. So the salesperson from within Salesforce now can use Salesforce Chatter to say the customer says they have paid it on the 1st of the month. Can you please check if I can spell correctly? So then this comment, which is done in Chatter against that invoice, if I go back into and refresh the screen, if I go back into Intacct, into my entity, into my invoices, okay, and you can see this transaction here. If we scroll down now, you can actually see the comments and the conversations from within Chatter, from within Intacct as well as Salesforce. So the finance person could say back to them, obviously excuse the same name, no, nothing yet. Okay, because they're super on top of the bank rec and it would have shown against that transaction. Okay, and again, as it comes back, we've just added that comment in, and that conversation has now appeared. Again, so rather than emails going back and forth and having to worry about logging those, we've got a full record against the invoice and of course it's then that invoice is then linked to the contract as well. So you've got full visibility from within Salesforce of all of the information that you need. All right. So just to summarize, so we've created an opportunity with products. We've pushed that into a contract. That contract has then flowed through into Sage Intacct. Finance have done all the hard work and generated the invoices, which has flowed back into Salesforce with all of the relevant payment information. And we've got this two-way conversation going on in Chatter between Intacct and Salesforce. Exciting, hey? Well, don't go away. We're now going to go through the process of managing add-ons within Salesforce. Okay, so we have our same contract with 123 company. So we are now going to add on to our existing contract. So you'll notice here in the drop downs, we have the ability to create an add-on opportunity. So when we do that, what it's doing is actually saying that it's a modification to that original contract. So you'll see that the contract itself is flowing through onto the opportunity. Okay, so then what I can do is do my usual process with opportunities. I can go through and then add in the items that I want to add. So I'm going to upgrade these guys to gold. That's what they're asking to do. Okay, so I'm going to select that item. Again, because this is an existing site, it's going to be add-on MRR. I've got all of the pre-built start dates, etc. pulling through. I think I've got everything populated. And one of the things I didn't mention before, but I think it's important, is do remember that dimensions sync through from Intacct to Salesforce as well. So they could be selected on lines and pulled through into the product. Okay, so now I have my opportunity with my new products added in, and I'm going to close win that opportunity. They have decided to upgrade. Closed win. So I've closed win my opportunity as I would do normally. Okay, and then I could go through and modify the contract. So that's now gone through, and it's now going to link this new opportunity with the existing contract. Okay, so if I go into that contract, that same contract we were looking at previously, you will now see that I have two opportunities related to that contract, and I have two lines. So that second line is my item, my gold support upgrade. All right. So if I go back into Intacct, and if I go into United and sort by my latest contract IDs, okay, and I view that contract, you'll notice that I now have both my bronze and my upgrade to gold on my same contract. Okay. But I think it's important to notice that this gold would be classed in my scenario as an add-on. So then would appear in my board book. For those of you that don't know, I'll give you a quick glance. Okay, so we've looked at the flow. So from the opportunity, we've created from the contract, we've created a new opportunity. It's pulled through all of the contract information. We've added those new lines. We've processed that through, literally modified the contract, and that has been added on to the contract in Intacct and will be processed as normal. Simple, hey? Well, it is when you have that Salesforce and Intacct integration anyway. Okay, so the next thing we now need to look at is how we manage renewals. Okay, so the last piece of the puzzle that we need to look at is the renewals. So here we've got our contract, the same good old contract 103. You can see it's got our two opportunities against it. So in the background, we have a couple of options for how we can manage. So we can automatically trigger opportunities based on the settings within Sage Intacct, i.e. we can say 60 days before it's due, generate an opportunity, and it will pull it through. The other option you do have is to create a renewal opportunity directly from the contract, and that will create it for you. So that's more of a manual process to generate, but that's completely up to you. Now, if you look down, so this is the original contract, you'll see that now we actually have a second renewed contract. So what happened, if we just go have a look at that actual contract, is that an opportunity was created. Now, my settings have actually consolidated the product onto the same opportunity. You'll notice that there's been a price uplift because my renewal template have an automatic 5% uplift. And then I went through the same process that I would do with any opportunity. So this opportunity was created. I then closed won it. So again, you can have it create a different record type if you want to have renewals opportunities managed in a different way. Maybe different stages, etc. And then I closed won it. I then went and created my contract, but because of the information in the background, that created 106, which has actually got a relationship in it to say it sits under 103. Yeah, because that's the original contract I created. Again, you can tweak and change elements as part of that renewal process. You might add new lines. You might add a negative line for any downgrades as well. So that you can map it into your new MRR or your churn, etc. So that can be managed. But that contract there, so this contract here is actually related to the original 103. Yep. So if I go back to the 103 contract within Salesforce, it's actually that new renewal, as it were, sits under that parent contract. So if you have enjoyed this overview video of the opportunity to contract process, please do to share it with your colleagues. And of course, do add any questions as comments on the videos if you'd like to learn more. Don't forget, we have a huge amount of information on our website as well, www.itaassolutions.co.uk. We've got more videos on the different types of integrations, how it's different from a typical connector, and of course, shed loads of demos on other parts of the contract aspect of Sage Intacct. One thing is that if you are a Salesforce administrator and you're looking to learn more about that integration, please do go onto our website. We have a downloadable guide for administrators to the Intacct integration with everything that you need to know about what is going to be set up, what the options are, what you need to think about before you start. So it's the ultimate guide. So you can pop onto our website and find that on the Salesforce page. So thank you again for listening. Thank you. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. We hope you enjoyed this overview of the opportunity to contract process within Salesforce to Intacct. Take care, guys. Speak to you soon.